Hi guys, my name is Samantha Yeo. I'm 23 years old this year and I used to be a swimmer on the Singapore national team. I currently work full-time in the developmental behavioral pediatric lab, which I have been in since I graduated. I would study at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, majoring in neuroscience and international studies, and this was during the years of 2014 to 2018. I initially started looking at programs in the US because of the swimming opportunities that Division 1 athletics offered. And I also knew that if I wanted to come overseas to study, I wasn't willing to kind of compromise on the quality of education that I was receiving back in Singapore. So in that sense, I guess Michigan was a very easy choice for me because of the academic rigor that the institution offered and provided, in addition to a really good athletic program. As to why I chose to study neuroscience, I think it's because of the fact that I've always been very intrigued by the complexities of the brain, and I knew all along that I wanted to pursue something that was kind of STEM related, more so in the fields of bio or in terms of health. Actually, initially, I came to school wanting to study psychology, but after taking one class during my freshman year, I found myself really enjoying the aspects, the biological aspects of the brain more so than learning about the psychological theories of it. So with that, I shifted my focus towards neuroscience as a major. I think the benefits of studying overseas is the amount of space to learn, grow, and form my identity, just purely by being put in a situation where I had to be independent in order to kind of survive and to adapt to really different situations. It also gave me the chance to see and experience things differently from what I would otherwise kind of have experienced or maybe felt as a result if I were studying in Singapore. And from being overseas and being in an environment where I came here and didn't know a single person, I also got the chance to meet and interact with a much more diverse group of people, kind of build and find my identity on my own, gain different perspectives on things, which I think really widened my horizons in the way that I think and tried to tackle challenges that I faced throughout the years. A lot of the benefits, I think, are very intangible things. They're not specific physical things that I gained, but they're still so important and are so translatable to the rest of, the other aspects of life. Sports-wise, I think it's super clear for me because there are a lot more opportunities to learn how to, get up and race, how to race under any conditions because things were always so variable, and we didn't always get to taper or rest for swim meet. But the other aspect of it was, just as an example, for dual meets, essentially small meets that we get the chance to race other teams without really tapering, resting for it, and we also don't suit up for them. It just gave us an opportunity to simulate racing conditions and simulate racing under duress. Most of the times, I didn't even know what I was going to race until about 1 to 2 hours before the meet actually started and before the race was actually going to happen. But even then, anything could change. There are times where my coaches would tell me something and then literally 20 minutes before the race, be like, oh, by the way, you're going to be racing something else as well. Or you're not racing this, you're going to be racing something else completely different. So it trained me to be really adaptable as a swimmer, not to overthink things and, kind of to go with the flow, but also stay focused and knowing that trusting in the process whenever we got the chance to race. I think on a broader scale, this is very applicable towards many other aspects of life, especially learning how to be flexible and adaptable in life. Academically, college in the US, you kind of have the chance to explore your interest before committing towards a single major or degree. So I think this gave me the opportunity to figure out what I was truly passionate and interested in, and to pursue it from there rather than kind of applying directly to a specific program in the school, which I probably wouldn't have been able to make as informed a decision otherwise. Honestly, I don't think I really seriously and fully considered studying in Singapore for university. I mean, mostly growing up, I kind of always assumed things like after secondary school, you'll go to JC or Poly, and after JC Poly is uni, after uni comes work. So I was under that kind of, naive impression that Singapore uni was the only way to go, and so I just kind of took it as such. But what really was a catalyst for my eventual decision to come to the US to study actually came in small waves that eventually amounted to this final decision. At first, I remember in Sec 1, I think, there was a senior that I was really close to, and she was talking to one of our teachers in charge, possibly about going overseas for uni. So I think that sparked my interest and kind of let me be aware of other possibilities other than Singapore uni. And then later on in Sec 3, Sec 4 was when I guess my coach wanted me to start dipping my toes into doing doubles at least once or twice a week for training, which then obviously would take up a lot more time. But at the same time, schoolwork was starting to pile up. So I was getting a lot less sleep than I wanted to or than I needed to if I wanted to continue swimming at this high level. So my then coach, actually is Coach David, he was the one that really introduced this idea to me about studying overseas. And that's when we started to, I guess, consider this option very seriously. But once we decided that yes, going overseas was probably the best choice for me, things kind of really happened very quickly. So within the same year, I started talking to coaches in the US. I started to plan for the necessary actions, so take the necessary exams I had to take in Sec 4 so that I could get the credentials I needed to apply to uni. After that, I think I went to JC for about 3 months before going to uni in August instead of continuing on with the rest of my J1 and J2 years. I think it also really helped a lot that my parents have always been very open and supportive of my decisions since I was young. They never really forced me to stick to a specific path, and instead they kind of let me figure things out on my own. They just had one key guiding philosophy which tended to be along the lines of whatever you choose, just know that you have to commit to it. So I guess since young, I've been brought up with that mindset of, okay, I have to really consider things objectively when I make big decisions, because regardless of what I choose, I'm going to have to commit to it and see through it to the end. So I think those few aspects really amounted to the final decision where I was like, okay, studying overseas is probably the best case for me. And obviously, after speaking with coaches, realizing that their visions and my goals aligned, and them having some financial aid and scholarship money that could help me fund my college education in that respect, helped a lot. So yeah, that's about, I guess, how I decided to come to the US.